I recall you mentioning about technology and the impact on the job. Do you see any change in the kind of regions? Because I keep reading about Africa being the next century belongs to Africa and all that. And given the scope for development there, do you think any of your clients and investors are looking in those kind of countries also?
Yes.
Would there be jobs there?
Certainly, but I think the jobs that are in developing countries are international experts that they're looking for, because they come with the expertise and the knowledge of certain technologies that can be adaptable. But yeah, I mean, certainly, we can talk about China. China invests in Africa, and it's all about infrastructure because they know the seriousness and the value of assets and selling off their assets. So certainly Africa is the one to look at, and I think it feeds very nice in terms of what we do for people. And with all the sort of, being very wealthy, there's a shift in wealth, and people now are beginning to think, hang on one second, you need to be sharing some of this wealth and giving to countries who are less fortunate. So definitely emerging markets, Southeast Asia, all those markets where there's huge potential, I think is going to be the way that investors are looking at stuff going forward.
Sure. I was also talking to another friend who's been in Africa for 20 years, and he's been working across the different countries. And so he too was saying that, especially post-COVID, because most of the African countries were dependent on Europe and investment from those kind of other nations. And post-COVID, there's been some kind of an isolation because of this entire pandemic. So there is a kind of a move to become more self-dependent, and they probably are going to look at more investments so that they build their own infrastructure. And so it kind of tallies with what you're kind of telling me.
Yeah. I think though in emerging countries, there's going to be a lot of shift in terms of government thinking. So I think there could be more investment in developing countries, but I think, we talk about, corruption and everything else. I think when people then start rooting things in developing countries out, you'd have more of an appetite for other countries to invest.
Right. So I didn't realize we were already 25 minutes we were talking about to each other. I think one thing, can you tell us how has COVID affected you professionally, and has it impacted the kind of assignments you did? And what have you done with your team, and how you coped up with this? And what do you see the world on the other side of COVID?
So I think, the UK was second highest, now we're third highest after US and Brazil. It was really scary, I think, for a lot of people, because if we're looking at on before we peaked, we were between 800 and 900 deaths a day. So it was really, really bleak. But then that also allowed us, so we couldn't go into the office because the office was shut. But then I went through a phase of reflection. So one of my employees I put on furlough because we had a few things in the pipeline that just stopped completely. We were fortunate enough to have an offer in April, and I just thought, hang on one second, I'm not going to do any new business development for number one. I reached out to my clients that I know personally just to find out how they are and how their families are, but I wasn't going to still be pushing if a job is put on hold, still push through to move forward in terms, it just stopped. But that also gave me some personal reflection as well, because I think, every day there's this school run, work, come home. I think women is slightly different because they have all these other components to what they have to do. And it just made me sort of think back and say, hang on one second, priority is our health and the safety of my family, and you start really starting to think about, you put things into perspective. So it allowed me to put things into perspective. The UK slowly, so we peaked about 4 weeks ago, and now the numbers are now 200, 300 average a day. We are partially open. We came back, so we closed towards the end of March, and we came back the 1st of June. And now we're slowly now building up the momentum. We have a few interesting conversations. We're still picking up all the contracts that have been put on hold, but yeah,